I think I could speak for a lot of us when I say this, but and there's also people that won't admit this. You know, you got the prideful brothers out there that they'll look at this message as weak, you know, and that's fine. That's cool. It's not for them, you know. I think when you're comfortable with yourself, you can say stuff like this. But the message is this, man. Don't let anybody tell you that your value is based off of what you earn, what kind of money you make. You know, we learn this as young men, you know, when it comes to like what we wear and stuff like that, you know, the kind of clothes we wear and the latest Jordans and whatever. We learn this and then we grow up and we understand it, right? Like for me, for example, like I got a whole room full of shoes, you know, and they're shoes that weren't shoes that I was able to get as a kid, you know, for whatever reason. And so I bought, man, so many shoes, you know, and some of those shoes, they're not even popular right now, but you know, that's because shit, they were popular in 1990 something, you know, or early 2000s or something like that. Just couldn't get them because that wasn't in my cards at the, you know, when I was a kid. So, you know, I learned over time, hey, you know, that doesn't establish value for you, you know, and there might be somebody that looks at that as valuable when they look at you, whatever. But I know that I know I bring to the table more than shoes, right? And if there's any women watching this, you bring more to the table than just your body. You know what I'm saying? Or just whatever type of outfit you got on or whatever. That's just a reality. This isn't like some deep ass quote. This is the reality of it. If you date somebody, you're not just dating somebody's money. When you date a black man, you're not dating his money. Any man, you know, just any man, right? I'm just talking specifically to black men because that's who I know. You know what I mean? So, and we don't hear this a lot, but your value does not lie in your monetary, like it's not about your money. You know, that's not where the value is. You know, if you're doing the work to make yourself better, you make yourself a better person. This is assuming you even have an issue. You know, I hear that term, you know, are you doing the work? Well, what work, beloved? Like, what kind of work are you talking about? Are you assuming that I need work done? Are you know what I'm saying? Now, I'm gonna step to the side here. I'm gonna say I do believe everybody should go to therapy, but issues, you can't just meet somebody and see 30 issues off rip. You know what I mean? That's not realistic. You don't just, are you doing the work? It's like, do you think this person is just not healed? Do you think they have all these extra social problems? Like, what do you think we're healing from? How do you know? Get what I'm saying? Like, how do you know? Are you asking me, have I done the work because you don't think that I align with what you align with? Is that what you're saying? Do I need work for that? What part of me is broken, and how did you determine that it was broken? If I told you it was broken, I get it. If I told you I had X, Y, and Z issues, I get it. You know what I mean? But did you assume that I had issues? What issues did you assume that I had? Everybody don't have anxiety. Everybody don't have depression. Everybody don't have an addiction to a particular drug. Everybody, you know what I'm saying? Everybody don't even have family issues. Some, you know, I mean, it's not an everybody thing. Some people have issues based off other stuff. You know, you don't know. But not everybody has these big time issues you could see. You know what I'm saying? So when you say, are you doing the work? Don't let that be like a prerequisite to dating for anybody. Like, it's not something that everybody doesn't have to do work in the same way. It's not the same thing for everybody. So I feel like people get that misconstrued. Fellas, your value is not in the amount of money you make. The world is telling you that right now, brothers. That's what they're telling you. That's what they're telling you. They're telling you that you have to have X amount of dollars before you could even sit down and date some of these people, right? And I understand wanting what you want. So I understand the lady saying, I want X amount of dollars. I mean, I want a man with money and whatever. I understand that because you have to, I can't tell somebody to do something that they, like, why would I tell you, go after something you don't want? You know what I'm saying? I can tell you to try something different, but I can't tell no people to go mess with women or mess with men that they don't want. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these people are saying they want X, Y, and Z because they're not going to respect somebody that don't have it. If you're not very well to do and you got your own house and cars and whatever, which that's most people can't afford all that, you know. So that makes that pool smaller. But if you can't afford all of that or whatever, that doesn't have anything to do with who you are as a person and what value you bring. Once people pass over the not the stereotypical, but like the shallow things that people are looking for, you know what I'm saying? I.e., you know, for example, you know, once you pass up, okay, she's got ass, she's got, you know what I'm saying, upper body, she's well endowed, whatever, she got a cold walk, her body's on point, and she's pretty, whatever. There is a whole entire person after that. You know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure we're all at the age where we understand that. But there's an entire person after that. And the thing is that has to work. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I tell you fellas, after all the money and the getting flued out, the trips and the whatever that she's looking to have done, and the, you know, whatever financial stuff she's needing to have done, after all of that, there's a man behind all of that. You get what I'm saying? There's a man behind all of that, and this man has fears, dreams, aspirations, things that he loves, things that he hates, people he loves, you know what I'm saying? All kind of stuff. Like, this is a whole person behind that. So, fellas, I'm making this as a letter to you, and to say, brothers, that we have to, I know y'all have heard this a lot, but your value, again, do not let your value be looked at as a plaything, as something that could just be up. You know what I mean? Now, we're talking about the value that you have in yourself. Now, whether or not somebody else values you, that's up to them. That's something you cannot change, right? That's up to them. You know what I'm saying? If, you know, a woman is like, listen, I'm a queen and I got this going on, and I make this amount of money, and I'm dope and I can bring this to the table, right? But maybe she's not attractive, right? So the value that you have for her is low, right? And her value could be high, and it doesn't mean that she's not a valuable person. It just means that you don't have the same, like her value to you is low, and that's fine. You know, so like I said, you know, if the value she has in you is low because she doesn't see you as valuable, that's okay. That's fine. You get what I'm saying? Like, she can't change that. It is what it is. You know what I mean? But for yourself, you don't have to accept the BS. You get what I'm saying? You don't have to accept none of that weird shit. Like, it don't need to be like that. You know, people will tell you. Now, again, I'm not telling you, you know, don't get out there, get active, and go get money and become successful. Why would I tell you not to do that? You know what I'm saying? Why would I not breathe life into you at the same time? You know, what I'm telling you is that aside from all of that, you were valuable before that, and you'll be valuable after that. Assuming you hold on to your square, you will be valuable before you'll be valuable after that. You're valuable. So the world, like I said, the world does this big one, and it's gonna tell you you're not valuable. You're not a high earner. You're not, or you might be a high earner, but you don't have, I don't know, something else the world tells you need to have. You know what I'm saying? And that's fine. That's perfectly fine. But know that you have that in yourself. Know that you have that in yourself. And you got questions as to why you need to be this just to have that. I'm not gonna lie to you. I watched a video a little while ago. It had me thinking about, basically, you know, there was a situation where a dude lost his job, and so his wife called into the Breakfast Club and was basically like, yo, check it out. This is what's going on. And they basically were like, listen, it's probably time for a divorce. So the question I had to ask myself was, is that like it? Like, is that it for us? Is because they tell us marriage is like this big, you found your person or something, you know what I'm saying? But is it like, did I find my person or did I find a job? It seems like so many things are contingent upon me bringing in money. I'm not telling you I don't want to bring in money, right? That's what I want to do. It's just innately in me. That's what I want to do, right? And you work hard to do that. But I guess the scary thing is, you know, most divorces end in, you know, because of, you know, something financial. And I did research and I learned what you know, kind of what some of the women were saying. And some of the women were saying men change when they don't have enough money. And it's crazy because I think it's crazy because it's extremely ill-informed. You get what I'm saying? It's extremely ill-informed. That will be the equivalent of saying, you know, women change if they lose their ability to have children. And that's why I divorced her, because it's not that she couldn't have children even though I wanted them, it's because she changed when she found out it's not I wouldn't say it doesn't happen, because I think, you know, if a man, you know, is not able to make money, he might get depressed, things like that. I would say this. I would say if my wife fell on hard times and could not do the thing that makes men, you know, like reproduce, right? That doesn't mean we're divorced. And if we were to divorce behind that, there would have to be so many things in place to make that happen. I have a family member right now who is married, and his wife is no longer able to have children. You know what I mean? Now, the determining factor is whether or not he wants them. I'm not sure. But she can't have children if he wanted them. They're still happily ever after. I mean, I don't, you know, I know that he told me she was going through some things because of it, you know, and I would assume she would. So, I get it. I don't know. To me, it seems like, you know, so I'm gonna be honest with you, that reasoning is BS. It's something that's regurgitated from maybe a few people that have been through that. You get what I'm saying? In reality, a lot of people are marrying each other for things like how good she looks or can she cook. And they're marrying men for, you know, how much money can he make? So once he loses that thing, the spark is gone. You know, let's say she gains weight, right? And she's not able to keep that figure she had when you met her. Now all of a sudden the relationship's in a rough patch. To me, when I say value, I'm not talking about what you see on the outside. It's not what I'm talking about. When I talk about value, I'm talking about like personality. I'm talking about being around that person. You know what I mean? I'm talking about, does that person speak life into you? Does that person support you? Does that person make you feel like a king, queen, whatever? You know what I'm saying? Like, these are the things that fit in between that. Because in reality, fellas, you're not gonna have that six-pack forever. I don't got a six-pack now, but for the fellas that are you know what I'm saying, built up and all that, you're not gonna have that forever. Your wives are not gonna have. I'm assuming she has a body that you like, right? Don't matter how I feel about it, but I'm assuming she has a body that you like. She's not gonna have that forever. You know, that money that you have now, you might not have that forever. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. So there's a lot of things that, you know, like I said, value in somebody based off of, you know, the outside, based off those stereotypical things, that don't work. can't marry behind that. You can't have long-term relationships behind that generally. You might get lucky once or twice, but it's not a usual thing. So fellas, I'm saying this because I want people to know I'm inclusive about this, you know. And I'm not just telling men that they're valuable over whatever, right? Because I get some weird ass comments, bro. But what I'm gonna say is this, fellas, your value is not in how much money you make. If your value is in how much money you make, then there is something you need to fix. You need to do some work. Like you need you need to do the work. If that's where your value is, it could be part of your value. It could be whatever. But if your value is in how much money you make, like if that's what you have to bring to the table, that's trash. I know the world is telling you that that's where your value is. I know that. I do. But I guarantee you, if you marry a woman and you guys are married because of your money, you will feel played. You will not and please believe y'all gonna have kids and all that because you have the ability to sustain it. She's going to the mall, she's having a ball, she's meeting up with other women from all over the place that are doing the same thing she did. They're discussing shit over mimosas and shit like that while you're at work, whatever. Kids are at school, all that. And you seemingly having this loving life. But if there is no spark there, the only thing that's there is that you're able to produce funds, then you're gonna feel that, and you're gonna know what it feels like for somebody to date you for your money. Fellas, if you're not well-to-do, you'll never experience being dated because you're well-to-do. But I will tell you this: sounds like it's not the greatest thing in the world. You know, doesn't sound like something you should run and go jump to go do. But a lot of fellas, it's hard for a lot of fellas that have a good amount of money to find somebody who is not dating them or married to them for that. From what I'm seeing, you know. Mostly famous men. It really ain't every, you know what I'm saying? It's mostly a famous man thing. You know what I'm saying? But this is me just explaining this to you. You don't want that. So have that value in yourself. Don't let that be the only thing you bring to the table. And if you and make sure that you know that you have more to bring to the table than that. Period. If you don't think you do, you need to do the work. Point blank, period.